Welcome to Magnet Marketers, our weekly live show where we break down the head, heart, and hand approach to building sustainable growth in your business. During each episode, we share actual client marketing best practice examples, strategies, and tactics that will help you generate real results. Our belief? A magnet always works better than being a bullhorn to attract, retain, and build your brand. Ready to dive into this week's Relationship Marketing Training Tuesday? Well, let's get started. Here's your host, Mike Gingrich and Jessica Phillips. Yay, hello, and welcome to this week Training Tuesday Live. We are Magnet Marketers, where our goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. And today we have some exciting guests to talk all about Instagram and gaining your influence on Instagram. And they have some hacks and some tricks that you may not have heard of before. So you definitely want to participate in this week's episode. But before we introduce this lovely duo, a quick hello. If we've not met before, my name is Jessica Phillips with Now Marketing Group and the Relationship Marketing System. And my awesome co-host, Mike Gingrich, is here. Hello, Mike. He's the president of web development and software firm Digital Hill Multimedia, published author 5 times over, triathlete runner, and leading business blogger at MikeGingrich.com. How's it going?
Hey, I am doing well, Jessica, and it's great to have a full house, because usually we're like this kind of triangle thing, but we got the full house going on today. So excited to have these wonderful ladies with us today. Let me quickly introduce and jump into our conversation. So let's see. Below me, I don't know where it's at on your screen, I have Caitlin Jenkins and Amy Tischler. Let's see. And they are the co-owners of Simply Social Media, a Santa Fe, New Mexico-based influencer and social media marketing agency. So welcome, ladies from New Mexico.
Thank you. Excited we love being with other duos. It's really exciting for us.
Yes.
So, yeah. Love the full house.
I love it. But man, Mike, we need to up our game. They came like they are on brand. They are matching. It's all beautiful with that green. Like anytime I see that green now, like I think of you ladies. Oh. You ladies are masters of just personality and capturing attention as well as Instagram. So I'm super excited to dive into this talk today so we can share with everyone else how they can grow some Instagram, just notoriety, influence, if you will, relationships, whether they're a personal brand or a business brand. I know we were talking kind of behind the scenes before we dove in and just talking about what the last year has looked like for you ladies and just how much you've ramped up, because one, not only has Instagram grown in its use, but also brands have had to really rely even extra on some of these tools to maintain and kind of facilitate the relationships and the communities that they've been trying to build. So I'm really excited to hear a little bit more about your guys' background and how you've been using Instagram, as well as then dive into some of those tips. So let's start off with you, Amy. Tell us a little bit about a backstory and kind of why you guys have decided to really kind of lead with Instagram and how has it worked for your guys' brands?
So we actually literally pretty much fell into that, Jessica. We really did. The right word. You nailed it. Caitlin and I met on Instagram. We were being social on social media, go figure, and we were liking each other's photos. We had found each other through connected local hashtags, and the likes turned into comments, and the comments turned into DMs, and the DM turned into an invitation to me from Caitlin to meet up IRL. And we did, and literally within minutes, we just connected. We had so many similar ideas and values and missions. And within a week, we had started a photo sharing account called Simply Santa Fe NM. And so that account now, gosh, I don't even know what it's at today, Caitlin. Do you? It's 40,000.
No, I don't.
But yeah, we funneled all of our ideas of our love of local economy, local creators, businesses, and our love of Instagram into this platform, and really then just fell into literally creating a business together. So you're absolutely right with your terminology. But it really all stems from our deep love of Instagram. That was the place where we were really just finding joy and building relationships, and our relationship happened to really just take off from there and turn into a business and BFFs. So
that's the perfect case scenario right there. One, you love. Two, you're skilled at it. Three, you enjoy the person that you're working with. We always say start from the inside out to make a great company culture, and people can feel that off of you. Then even if it's what would we come up with the terminology earlier? IVL, in virtual life instead of in real life, to still give that vibe. So I love that. And I know that you guys have been super successful with how you storytell and use not just the storytelling via visually, but also the comments and things back and forth to nurture and build those relationships. Because Caitlin, you were taking, and maybe you still are, you're a photographer, right? And then we heard kind of how you guys connected, but how are you using that to help brands really tell their story?
So I've when I moved to Santa Fe, that was right around when I met Amy. So I'm a professional photographer also. Right now I specialize in weddings and engagement photos, but I used to do a lot of families. And so that was one of the reasons that really drew me to Amy's pictures. She went on hikes all the time at these gorgeous landscapes. And so it was a little bit selfish. I was like, hey, show me where your locations are. But it's really, it's brought the two together. Some of our clients need photography needs, some photography people I've networked with need social needs. So it's really been beneficial on both ends.
Got it. Hey, Caitlin, maybe a follow-up in that, as we saw things change for so many organizations in 2020 with the pandemic, and then they had to make some changes to that. And then Instagram continues to evolve as well, right? So what have you seen over the last year, maybe with a specific client, or just and with some of the Instagram changes that, what is something somebody's had to do to continue to utilize Instagram to its fullest potential for them?
I've seen, so a lot of our clients have kind of, it's revitalized their we need to pay attention to social media, their interest in that. And so the first question is what do we do? What do we post about? And so thankfully we're like, come now, we got you. And so often it's been a lot of kind of training of what's changed if they've been a little checked out over the past couple of years, or kind of coming up with a new strategy, how to approach social media, how to really get the word out and to who they want to see it in a way that's going to be good on both ends. And so it's been a lot of training, a lot of best practices of hey, maybe you should put your hours somewhere where people can find them. Things like that. Make it known if you're open or closed. And so we've seen a lot of that over the past year with our clients, for sure.
Yeah, I would also add that it's really made them be more aware of using social media, Instagram specifically, as a place to engage. So it's that bullhorn versus relationship building, right? It's oh, you have to do outreach with your constituents or your clients. Well, this is a two-way exchange now versus just a one-way. So that's been really, really heartening to see, because obviously Caitlin and I being very social, and that's how we connected, it's hard sometimes to get businesses to pay attention to that side because they're in this mindset of set it and forget it, post and then move on. Yeah. It's oh, wait, there's that social aspect of social media that we're forgetting about. So this has really been a time to reinforce that with a lot of our clients, and it's been really fulfilling.
I love the things that you both just shared. First, on just the what's new, what's changed, because I know we're going to dive into that. And by the way, they know their stuff. So if you once we start rapid firing some of this stuff, if you're going to want the recap of this, so you want to type a recap in the comments here, because then it will send you the recap log and replay video right to your inbox, and as well enter you in for a free ticket to Social Media Week Lima happening August 11th and 12th, sociallima.com. So definitely want to be entered for that, and we'll announce the winner tomorrow. But what you ladies are sharing, like, a lot has changed, right? And brands are now, I feel it too, have an agency. I know Mike's feeling it, I'm sure, like with working with clients as well, of just knowing that brands are like, oh crap, we need to pay attention to this, not only because of what happened last year, but just the way that we as individuals are utilizing social. Like, I know the Pew research just came out last week, and they're talking about the impact that more and how many people are using Instagram, ages 30 years old to 45 years old, and just that demographic of people that are using it heavily. And so brands, now that they're paying attention, right, they know they need to do something. And so what I've seen is even them, kind of taking exactly what they're doing on Facebook or writing posts and just kind of pasting it throughout. So they're realizing, okay, that this isn't working for me. You guys are talking about what is working, what's the strategy. So how, I'm sure they just don't want to invest unless they're getting some kind of influence there, right? Like, it's getting attention, they get that immediate kind of feedback, which nothing's immediate on social. But what are some of those tips for brands to start building that influence, would you say? And Amy, I'll start with you this time to change it up a little bit.
Sure. I mean, I think it really does go back to being social. And you know very well that relationships really matter, and making sure that there is that component to it. And, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to be on 24/7. You don't have to respond to a comment within seconds of it being made. But, acknowledging someone's comment, that goes a long way into developing those relationships. And so, really, that's such a huge component, whether you're a brand or whether you're a personal brand, because, for the micro and nano influencer, especially, they are known for having trust with their audience, and they have that trust with their audience because they engage with that audience.
And maybe explain what a micro and nano influencer is really quick, if you don't mind, for anybody that hasn't heard that term before.
Absolutely. So, there's a lot of different definitions about the size, the numbers that make up these sizes. You can Google it and get, 100 different definitions. Basically, it's anywhere up to like 100,000 followers would kind of fall into the micro. The way that we really sort of separate the two is that, the nano is really not as savvy maybe as the micro influencer. The micro influencer's got a creator account. They know how to do a call to action. They are a little more marketing savvy, versus a nano might just be a friend or a family member. But they're still like posting, they still have influence. And so really it comes down to the conversations that they're creating, and the trust that they're building with their audience by having real conversations, by, being very relatable, and they're building their own communities.
Excellent. Now, I think you would, I know you would concur with this statement, but maybe, Caitlin, you want to expand upon it, and that is the concept that when you're talking about, there's a difference between growing influence on Instagram and posting on Instagram.
Or being an influencer. Yeah.
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 You want to dive
definitely.
Into that?
Yeah. So as Amy said, so a lot of people are on Instagram because it's fun. It's a great way to connect with people. But there are people that are learning how to be good marketers and good promoting. And it's really easy to do. If you have something that you love and you want to tell everybody about it, post about it, and you have influence. You're telling people how much you love this brand or this restaurant or something that happened in your life, and you're influencing people whether or not you know it. And so the people that continually do that are kind of growing their influence. So they're more likely to be the person that you go to. Hey, I'm thinking about getting a new bathing suit. Do you have any brands that you recommend? So it's a person that kind of has this this knowledge base of recommendations, or maybe they have a network that they've built over the years. Oh, my friend so-and-so, I like to call them friendfluencers. My friendfluencer posts about this all the time. I'd love to like send you her link or something like that. That's really growing influence.
Got it.
And it's not just selling, it's not just selling. So it's not just about products. It's about your life experience. A lot of the people I follow, they don't even necessarily have a niche. I just follow them because they're super relatable, very cool human beings. And so if they happen to tell me about a product that they like, I'm going to take that recommendation. If Caitlin tells me about the newest taco place, I know that taco place is going to be really great. Like that, Kim Kardashian's not going to tell me about the local taco place in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Who am I going to go to for that? I'm going to go to Caitlin for that, but she's not a taco influencer. I follow her because of her lifestyle and because of what she posts about. And so when she's talking, she's friendfluencing me about all these things that she loves. But it's just authentic. It's these words again are overused, genuine, authentic, but it's real. Like that's what's when someone is sharing their genuine experience, that is like the holy grail, right?
It is, you can feel it. You can feel it. And I love that you said that you don't have to be selling something, because like, for example, I work with a lot of service-based companies, right? And they're not necessarily, links are horrible in Instagram. You can't, unless you have those, the big follower, you can do the swipe up in the stories. But even so, like, you don't have to base it on feeling like everything is this call to action. Instead, like, I like to talk about, it's not like what we do, but how we do it, how we're making people feel. So what you were describing, both of you, Amy and Caitlin, is talking about like how you're showing up, just being yourself, and maybe even just sharing, whether that's coming from you as a personal brand or a business, how you approach things. So whether it's highlighting your team and showcasing something that they're doing, or sharing some nuggets of wisdom, or just showing up to what you're doing that day with your family, and showing the personality behind the person. So it does kind of draw this magnet approach of the right people being drawn to you. And I love what you shared earlier, Amy, on talking about influencers, that they already have this trusted community. So I love the fact that if we are engaging and showing up as ourselves and aligning with some of those influencers that maybe already have a trusted community through engagement, now we're connecting and collaborating of sorts to where we're being invited to their already built in trusted community. And it's expanding our reach that way without it feeling forced or salesy. It's just showing up. So I love what you ladies are sharing here, because it's so true. And I think sometimes we overthink it because it's a post versus just a sharing, as if you are showing your photos on your phone to someone and telling them about what you were doing then, right? To give them a sense of who you are at your core. I love that. So I know you ladies have talked about guides before, because as we're talking about showing up and sharing and doing some new things that have come out, I know my team had heard you on the Agora Pulse Instagram Summit, and they were really in love with guides and how you could utilize those. So I want to share with anyone that's not familiar, and I'll start with you, Caitlin, maybe what are guides and how you are using them to help people grow influence.
Yeah, so Instagram Guides, it's a new sub-platform that Instagram rolled out last November. They have 3 different versions of them. So there's a location one, there's a post one, and a saved one. Is that right, Amy? Yeah. It's like, okay. So you can collect posts that have been published and tagged with a specific geo tag. You can create ones that have been shared from your own feed, or ones that you've saved. There's a lot of different ways that you can use Instagram Guides. Too. Products, there you go. That's a great one. So this was really timely on their part, because it was right around the holidays, like right around November, December. And so we use them right off the bat. We're like, this is great for our Simply Santa Fe NM Instagram channel. We'd love for you to go check it out to get some inspiration. But we did some a local restaurant guide, which restaurants are when they're open, what are their hours, how to get a hold of them, some local makers, all sorts of ideas to really play around with the different types of guides that are offered and really highlight the businesses that were struggling, give them a little boost right around the holidays.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, the guides are so cool because there's like infinite ways to use them. So like Caitlin said, we call them the 3 Ps. There's the products, the places, and the posts. And that's how you can select to create a guide. And there's examples of all of the 3 different types on that Simply Santa Fe NM account. But there's really just the options of how to use them are really limitless. We did a couple on our Simply Social NM account, and one was just about us. So we it made us really rethink how we also were presenting ourselves. You know, we forget that people don't always know who we are and haven't followed since the very beginning. And so it was a really nice opportunity to sort of reintroduce ourselves, to talk about some things that we do, some of the services that we provide. And so we collected all of those posts into a guide. So if someone is looking to find out more about us, they can easily click on that guide to find out who we each are individually, who we are as a company, what our values are, what our services are. So it's a really great landing place for that type of thing. We also put together some of our favorite apps. So there's just like infinite ways that you can use the guides, which is really exciting. They're also editable. So you can update them and it will say that they have been updated and it'll give the date that you've done that. Another super cool feature about the guides that we love is that they have their own URLs. And so you can share those guides and people do not have to have an Instagram account to view those. And so it's a really expansive kind of sub-platform on Instagram in that way, and that you can share whatever you want, however you want to put it together, and you can share it just through a URL. So it's accessible by anyone.
That's super smart. And I honestly, like, just from hearing some of those examples earlier today, I had a conversation with a local university and we were like, hey, you could do like your programs or whatever and have somebody do a tour of that. And so it really is something that I feel has been untapped, but has so many great possibilities. I have not checked out the link portion. I don't know if they have like embeds with it too or not, like if it's just a link, but I could definitely see
I'm not sure.
you being able to share that link directly with someone, you know, via like a direct message or something.
You can
right?
exactly. You get in those direct messages because that's where that link sharing can happen on Instagram, right? Or you know, you can share them. I actually just shared them with a client today who had to do sort of a contract review with their client, and so I was able to give them really, you know, that quick. Here's a URL to some of the guides that we created around this contract, and they could, boom, just, it was there in one place. They didn't have to go searching for it because they weren't, you know, actually social media savvy, which is why we were hired in the first place. But yeah, I just love that URL link. It's really so handy.
Powerful. I'm sure. I don't know if, you know, I'm curious maybe to the audience. So yeah, how many of you have experimented at all with guides, or is this great information for you? So maybe people can comment on that while we get to our next question.
Because, yeah, Tim says, I need to look into guides. I know they exist, but haven't looked at them yet. And
there we go.
Caitlin Evans says, hi, Jessica, and brilliant speakers. Great to hear everyone talking about IGTV, reels, and guides. Yes. And Kate, there's so many things like what you just listed, IGTV, reels. Now we're hearing about guides, and many brands are like, oh my God, I'm still trying to figure out how to post and do this stories thing. Right. So I know that for someone that's just getting started versus somebody that's, you know, maybe had some established kind of profile, if you will, and they're trying to dive in, if you were communicating with a brand and just asking them or when you're talking with them and giving them a guide of here's some things that you really should think about first to kind of get your plan going to start building your influence? Because I love your quote that everyone is an influencer, which you kind of touched on, because we are influencing some decision. But what is those first action steps that a business should consider and put into place in order to start becoming more active and influential on Instagram? And let's go, Amy, this time. I'm going to ping pong it back and forth.
Sure. A solid bio. I think people forget about their bios. And, so there's actually, so we have our username, and then there is actually the name place in your Instagram account. And so if you're lucky enough to have snagged the username of your business, this is a great opportunity for you to put something else in that namespace that directly refers to what it is you do. So for instance, our Simply Social NM account, that is our username. And so in the name, we put micro influencer marketing agency. And so people can then search, when they're searching, that will pop up. So that really to take advantage of those two places, and really having a clear bio. When we were putting together those guides, we also did some giveaways around it. And we noticed that people just were not putting like the hours, like the information that you want people to know. That I go to that account and I want to know, if it's a restaurant, I want to know when they're open. Are they doing curbside? Are they doing in dining, especially now because everything's changing constantly? Like that really clear bio is really important. And I think it gets overlooked a lot. It's a place where you can also put other usernames that are clickable. So Caitlin and I have our own usernames in our business account so people can click to them, or a hashtag that's also clickable. I think starting at the beginning with a really good, solid bio to tell who you are is something that we found was really overlooked when we were putting those guides together and trying to find out the information. We had to search, and you don't want to make people hunt, because we did it because we wanted to and we knew how to do it. If someone else is out there, they're going to go on to the next thing. They are not going to put in the time to search to find out this information, basic information, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Anything to add to that, Caitlin, of something else that a brand should do at the beginning? Because that is perfect, starting at the beginning, because that, you're right, that's the things that people often overlook. And Tim even says also worth checking out that the link in your bio works. A lot of the time is out of date or broken. Amen. And all these social platforms are trying to get people to stay on the platform, with the shop and everything that's just there to create a frictionless user experience. So it's not challenged, right? So I love starting at the beginning. That's definitely something. I didn't know that name. I didn't not hear that name hack before, but I'm definitely doing that right away.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Here, that's brilliant.
So,
anything else?
The other thing I would recommend is kind of taking a look at your account from the perspective of who you're trying to reach. Go through and archive any posts that aren't relevant anymore, or maybe just kind of stick out like a sore thumb visually. You can copy paste the caption somewhere else if that's still relevant, because you should be posting things again and again. It's not just a one and done type of situation. So kind of cleaning up your profile, making it more appealing, kind of asking people that are within your target to kind of take a look at your account and say like, hey, do you have any suggestions or things that look off to you, or what you'd recommend doing differently? Kind of having a solid base before you start working on growing your influence.
Got it. A question maybe around, Instagram now just in itself has so many tools within it, right? I mean, because you can do a post, right? And then that's a photos or video. And then we have stories, we have reels, we have IGTV. Okay. So that can seem like a lot to somebody as well, who's trying, okay, how do I grow this? How do I grow my influence? So do you have any thoughts on how you help someone navigate where and how much of what within those just offerings of Instagram? Amy, you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost like what we say about all the platforms reduced into Instagram, like pick a place, do it well. So maybe if you're just starting, get comfortable with posting.
Mhm.
And then once you're comfortable with that and you have some good consistency down and you have a good strategy behind your posts, then, figure out how your stories can help support your posts, or if your stories are going to be sort of separate and offer something completely different than your feed does. I think, it's taking each piece, like, don't get overwhelmed. Don't feel like, oh God, I have to do reels and IGTV and guides and I have to post
Mhm.
and I have to do stories. Like that, what happens is they'll just burn out. They'll do that for like a month and then they'll be like, oh, this is way too much. They'll be completely overwhelmed. Get just solid and one piece at a time.
Mhm.
And I think the more that they do that, the more, Instagram is such a fun platform.
Mhm.
I have a blast with stories personally. I probably watch stories more than I actually look at the feed these days. And so, just really getting solid and doing it one piece at a time. It's, like Jessica said, this is a marathon.
Mhm.
This is not a sprint. We're not going to you can't
Mhm.
dump everything at once and expect to have success. So, just get solid and comfortable, and then also find out what you like to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where the real magic
Mhm.
comes through. If
Mhm.
you are super just jammed with like reels and you're like totally into it, do reels. Like do that thing. Do the thing that really brings you joy, because that totally comes through and your audience is really going to feel that. It's going to feel forced if you're forcing it.
I love that. That's so smart because honestly, like you said, do we have time for it too? And what's going to look and feel good on that like they're all completely different. Like stories is just that stories. It's not like the post of what you would normally post, right? Like it's coming to life. It's beginning, middle, end, and bringing people along the way, if you will. At least how I look at it. And brands are creative with it and how they can show up. But I feel like it's where your content's going to feel natural, and is it like real people doing real things kind of thing? Is it you're creating something, or you're sharing planned content that is a static image that you put a caption with? Like that's smart of thinking through what do you have time to do consistently and show up with like this clarity of what you're trying to accomplish versus just feeling like it's a task to check off so you get it all done and maybe don't do it as well as you could have if you took a little extra time.
Right.
Now, I don't know, like you said, you're using stories quite a bit. I check out stories too. I tend to probably post more than I do stories. I have not done reels at all, but I feel like for brands and Caitlin, maybe you can touch on this. Like, do you feel that they should plan content out, or is there a type of content that you talk to them about creating on Instagram that's more effective than others?
It definitely having the conversation of if it fits their brand, if it's something that's like way off the cuff and somebody's gonna be like, who is this? This doesn't seem like something so-and-so would post, then maybe shy away from it. But yeah, it never hurts. Sometimes the things that you try once as kind of playing around with it go berserk and are super successful. So as long as you're intentional with it and making sure that it fits your brand style, your messaging, like it still represents you, then yeah, go ahead and play with all the tools that Instagram has. You don't know that you'll fall in love with reels or IGTV or guides until you try.
Having somewhat of a strategy is a good idea. You don't want to be totally planned. You don't want to plan your content out a year in advance because things are going to change so drastically in that year.
Right.
But you do want to have a strategy. You want to have some pillars of things that you can talk about and then fit things into there. It's nice to have a framework, but then also to leave yourself some room, also to be timely and to react to what's happening in the world and to have that kind of a presence.
So smart. Kate Evans says, are you seeing any issue with IG audience engaging with guides seamlessly, or has there been a bit of education needed for your audience as a brand that is utilizing all the facets of IG?
It's definitely, it's a different version of Instagram for sure. It's something you create and update as necessary. You can come out with new ones as often as you want to, but they don't show up in the feed the way that other things do. And so somebody would have to go to your profile in order to see the guide, unless you shared it to your story, which is something that you can and should be doing. So every now and then say, hey, remember this guide? Or we just updated this. Now's your chance to check it out. I recommend doing that to call attention to them.
That's what goes into the strategy, right? So we need a strategy to see more of Caitlin and Amy, what George Dumanis says. I like that strategy because you got a lot of fans in here and a wealth of information. You made the time fly by already. And I know there's so much more that you can share and have shared in some of your other trainings. So I would love to tell everyone where they can get more of Caitlin and Amy, as George mentions.
So our website is simplysocialmedianm.com. You can find us on all the social platforms at simplysocialnm. And in our Instagram bio, you can click to our usernames to find our accounts there.
And you guys will not be disappointed by doing so. So, and move to Santa Fe, Tim says.
I mean, that's another option.
Yeah. I don't know. His wife is almost due, so you might have to wait a little bit. But I think everybody, once things open back up, will definitely be paying a trip to both of you. So I think I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for dedicating some of your time and coming here and sharing your wealth of information with everyone that's tuned in, or whether you're live or watching the replay. Just a quick reminder, if you want the recap of this with links to their examples on their social channels, as well as more information on guides and all the things, type recap in the comments. You will get the link to the blog recap, as well as a chance to win a ticket to Social Media Week Lima, happening August 11th and 12th. Yay. You ladies are amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And thank all of you for joining in with us this week on Magnet Marketers. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.